Hi, so today I'm going to have a little bit of a chat about my children. Not everyone who gets in this situation, being affected by cancer has children, but I would say the majority do. Whether it's children that are young or children that are grown up with their own families, anything like that at all, really. You're going to have to excuse the weather. I'm just an outside girl and I even like sitting in the rain. But yeah. So they told me I had cancer and I had the biopsy and I had to wait for 2 weeks before I could tell anyone. Clearly, it was a lot easier to tell, my friends than it was to tell my children. Where on earth do you start with that conversation? And my children are quite far apart in ages. One's 10 and one is 6. I had different people give me different opinions. Some were, just tell them that mummy's got a nasty lump and is going to be very poorly. Others were, be more upfront with them, tell them the truth, tell them that it's cancer. And after a lot of debating, I decided that I was going to tell them the truth. Obviously, if you're a parent and you've got children, you are the one that knows them best. Only you can decide how much information you give them, whether or not you tell them the truth, anything like that, because, it all depends on how you've been bringing them up and how upfront you are with them and all sorts of things like that, and whether or not actually you think you can cope with the stress of telling them. I mean, there might be some people out there that don't tell their children at all. It's fine, because everyone is different, and all children are different, and all children handle it very differently. I think I remember mentioning that, we were walking home from school and then my daughter, blurted it out, "Mummy, you've got cancer." She was clearly upset because a lot of the people, even now, still think, you hear the word cancer and you think that's it, death sentence, without realising that, a lot of cancers can be not necessarily cured, but at least dealt with if they are caught soon enough. So I had to talk with her and say, the hospital have said that I'm going to be fine, but I'm going to need an operation and I'm going to need medicine and everything like that. But then it's not just telling them once, it's telling them 100 times after that, 1,000 even. When my son, he's not as vocal as my daughter. He has shown his concern in other ways, by giving me more cuddles, by lashing out even sometimes, getting frustrated and kicking a football around and getting cross, frustrated very easily. But generally he's been more cuddly. I've had a lot of nights where he has come and slept in the room with me, because that's his way of showing that he's concerned, and the minute I get into bed, he sort of rolls over and then puts his arm on my arm and things like that. So yeah, they handle it very differently. there were several times when, you know, my daughter would sit there and she would say, "Mummy, I don't want to lose you." And it would break my heart. What do you say to that? And every time she did that, it got me in tears. Every single time. So I just hug her. And I would say to her, you know, I don't want to go anywhere. You're gonna have me around for a long time. There's this nickname that my kids have for me called Tiger Mummy when I'm in a bad mood, and I'd say to them, you know, you're even going to have to put up with Tiger Mummy for a long time yet. That would make them laugh every single time. So the conversation's very intense, heartbreaking. So sometimes I can understand why people don't want to tell their children, because when you're going through your own set of emotions, as it is anyway, it's actually very hard to cope with someone else's emotions, regardless of whether or not it's your children. It's just anyone else's emotions. And it's extremely hard. And then there was another time I can remember sitting down with them, and Macmillan and the Big C over here in England anyway are great places who provide excellent books on stories that you can read to your children and use that as an opening thing to have conversations with them about any issue that they might be worried about. And I read them a book one night, and obviously we didn't know at that time whether or not I was going to have chemo, and the lady in the book did have chemo and she lost her hair, and then that was it. Both of my children started crying and they were like, "Mummy, we don't want you to lose your hair, we don't want you to lose your hair." So I looked at them and I was quite taken aback by that, and I said to them, well, how can we make this better? You know, what can we do about this? And then my son, he sit there and he piped up and he said, "I know, Mummy, we can go and get you some wigs." And then my daughter said, "Can we come with you though?" And I said, "Of course you can." I said, "I'm not going to go and choose wigs without my two main people coming with me to help me." So then we had these lovely conversations about choosing a wig. And I said to them, "But there is one condition." I said, "You can come with me to choose a wig." I said, "But I'm not having any boring brown or black ones." I said, "You know, when we choose one, we've got to choose orange and pink and green." And they were like, "Oh, yes!" And they were so excited about it. But then I think I big-upped going to go and get a wig a little bit too much. Because when I found out I didn't need chemo, I went and I was so excited because I was very happy that I didn't need to have chemo. And I remember telling my daughter, and she was really happy, and she was like, "Oh, Mummy, you're not going to lose your hair anymore." And I said, "I know, it's fantastic." And then I told my son, who then promptly burst into tears like this. And I said to him, "Oh my goodness, what's wrong?" And he said, "We can't go and choose a wig." I was not expecting that at all. Bless him, he'd got so excited about going and choosing a wig. So then I thought, well, seeing as I'm not losing my hair, why don't I make the most of it? And so I said to them, "Do you think Mummy should colour her hair?" And so my children went, "Yeah!" So I said, "All right, we're going to go in, you know, have a look around the shops one day and we'll go and choose some colour." So off we went into the shops and I bought some bleach, and then I got my children to pick out some colours, and I now have a drawer full of various different hair colours sitting at home waiting to be experimented with. So there have been ups and downs. I'm glad that I told my children that it was cancer. But then that's just me personally. If you have children, only you can decide how much you tell your children, how you tell it to them. If you're not sure, please ask for advice, because I had no idea. I had no idea at all. And I have to say, some of the books have been really handy, because they have actually opened up issues. Like when I got the first book, up until then my daughter she'd been quite brave, I suppose. You know, we hadn't seen many tears from her or anything, and it had been about 3 or 4 weeks. And I thought, well, I don't know, you know, you get that mother's intuition and you think, she's hiding something. And sure enough, I sat down and read one of these books one night, and that was it. I opened the floodgates. And I spent the next hour and a half, I think it was, sitting with her, cuddling with her, crying with her. You know, she was saying it's so unfair, and I was saying, I know, but we are going to get through this, and we're going to get through it together. And so it did really help her, you know, to not feel so brave. I think to a point she felt like she couldn't cry in front of me in case it upset me. But then I said to her, you know, but it doesn't matter, because, you know, you're still my little girl, and you still need to be able to cry. You still need to be able to talk to me and tell me what's going on. And if I can't help you, we can hopefully find someone who can, sort of thing. So lots of talking, lots of tears, lots of cuddles, but also a lot of fun as well. At the most random moments, I'll never forget my son sitting there and getting upset that I couldn't get a wig. Oh, bless him, bless him. So, yes, they are my angels. They have been my strength, my weakness. They have been my joy and my frustration, but they have been there completely. Until next time, bye.